Continuing from the previous chapter, Feng Zunjie did not say anything more after seeing that Xiao Yan had made up his mind. He mused for a moment before taking out an old piece of jade from his storage ring. After which, he handed it to Xiao Yan and said, "Take this star jade. In the future, I will be able to rely on this thing to find you. Moreover, if you meet with any trouble that you cannot resolve, you can shatter it. I will be able to sense it." Xiao Yan tilted his head. He solemnly received the old piece of jade and placed it in his storage ring. After which, he cupped his hands to Feng Zunjie and said with a deep voice, "Thank you, old Feng." Feng Zunjie smiled and waved his hand. His palm patted Xiao Yan's shoulder as he slowly said, "For Yao Chen to pass that qi method to you, it is enough to tell that he values you. Back then, that scum Han Feng coveted this qi method, but Yao Chen did not hand it over to him." Xiao Yan quietly nodded. Yao Lao had spent an immense amount of effort on him, something that Xiao Yan was naturally aware of. Hence, his heart treated Yao Lao like his father. During these years, he had personally put in a ton of effort in order to obtain the strength to rescue Yao Lao. Xiao Yan's training journey was a lonely and harsh one, yet he had grit his teeth and endured. In order for him to be able to walk to this point from being the trash of his clan back then, the hardships and effort he faced was naturally something that others had difficulty comparing with. People like Feng Qing'er and Tang Ying might indeed have extremely outstanding talent, but they also possessed the support of a great faction behind them. However, Xiao Yan could only rely on Yao Lao and his own hard work. "Once I return to the Falling Star Pavilion, I will try my best to inquire about the factions within Underworld City. During this period of time, I will quietly make contact with some people who were friends with Yao Chen back then. If I am able to gather them, snatching Yao Chen back should not be difficult." Feng Zunjie spoke. Although the strength of the Falling Star Pavilion was quite strong, there was still quite a gap when compared with a great being like the Hall of Souls. Moreover, the Hall of Souls was mysterious and unfathomable. No one knew its exact strength. If one was not prepared, it was likely that one would not only fail to rescue Yao Chen but also end up losing the entire Falling Star Pavilion in the process. Xiao Yan nodded his head. His heart clearly understood just how frightening the Hall of Souls was. Naturally, he knew that he could not be reckless when it came to such matters. If they made a wrong move, it was likely that they would lose everything in the process. "All right, we are pressed for time and I shall not stay any longer. Remember, you should be more careful when you are alone in the future. According to my guess, it is likely that Feng Qing'er will not give up this ancient phoenix essence blood so easily. You should pay a little more attention. After all, the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe is not full of some nice characters. If you meet with any trouble that you cannot resolve, you should shatter the Star Jade." Feng Zunjie said. Xiao Yan tilted his head in acknowledgement. After which, he cupped his hands to Feng Zunjie. He lifted his chin to Lin Yan by the side. Their bodies moved, and they leapt off the back of the enormous eagle and swiftly fell to the ground. Feng Zunjie exhaled as he looked at Xiao Yan and Lin Yan fall through the sky. His gaze locked onto the western region of the Central Plains as he muttered, "Old fellow, I have finally obtained news of you. Rest assured that I will definitely rescue you this time around." Feng Zunjie waved his sleeves after his words sounded. Wild wind rose and the enormous eagle emitted a loud, clear cry. It flapped its enormous wings, transformed into a fierce gale, and swiftly disappeared into the horizon. Xiao Yan and Lin Yan rushed down to the top of a mountain, landing on the top of a tree. They raised their heads and looked at Feng Zunjie's group disappear. Xiao Yan slowly clenched his fist. He had finally found Feng Zunjie. In the future, he would no longer need to bitterly rely on himself. With Xiao Yan's current strength, he was already able to resolve the demon poison spot within his body himself. Although he could not refine it completely in one attempt, there was no need for him to do it in this manner. The Do Qi contained within the demon poison spot was too strong. Consuming it in one go would not be very beneficial to him. Step-by-step refinement was more suitable. "Xiao Yan, where do you plan to go?" Lin Yan gradually withdrew his gaze, turned to Xiao Yan, and asked with a smile. "Where is the pill tower located?" Xiao Yan dryly coughed. His eyes swept all around him as he asked with some embarrassment. He knew that the pill tower was situated in the middle of the Central Plains, but he was unaware of its exact location. Lin Yan rolled his eyes when he heard this. The name of the pill tower was something that everyone in the Central Plains was aware of. It was unexpected that Xiao Yan had actually asked such a question. The location where the pill tower is situated is called Pill City. That place has the highest concentration of alchemists on the entire continent. The area within a 500-kilometer radius of Pill City is the territory of the Pill Tower faction. It is also called the Pill Region. There is still quite a long journey from this place until the Pill City. Even by using the wormhole, it is likely that we will need a month or so. Lin Yan spread his hand as he explained. In that case, you will lead the way. Let's find a city with a wormhole first. After that, we will hurry to the Pill City. Xiao Yan laughed. It was indeed a lot more convenient for someone who knew the way to lead. It would save him the trouble of randomly roaming around like a headless housefly. Although there was still some time until the pill gathering began, he still needed to find the little fairy doctor and Ziyan before then. Yes. Lin Yan nodded as he said, you are planning on participating in the pill gathering of the pill tower, right? Coincidentally, Lu Qing's clan is also located in that region. Lu Qing, huh? Xiao Yan's face revealed a smile when he heard this familiar name. He also possessed quite a good impression of this forthright fellow. That fellow also misses you greatly and frequently speaks about you. However, he is now the clan's head and possesses a great status. Nevertheless, he is frequently being suppressed by those old fellows in his clan, causing him to feel out of sorts. Lin Yan laughed. If it is along the way, we can go and take a look at this fellow. Xiao Yan laughed. He similarly missed those friends he had made at the inner academy back then. Lin Yan nodded. His back trembled and a pair of Do Qi wings were extended. His wings were flapped immediately, and he transformed into a ray of light that flew into the distance. Xiao Yan stepped into the empty air and followed close behind him. This was a mysterious world. Endless clouds lingered over the distant sky, giving it an appearance of paradise. Moreover, the energy of this place was also exceptionally dense. The effect of training in this place would likely be many times better than other places. This place was filled with many steep mountain peaks. Occasionally, a couple rays of light would flash through the sky. The vague, powerful auras that seeped out of the peaks would likely have attracted quite a number of eyes if it was somewhere else. An extremely steep mountain peak was located under the clouds and fog. The mountain peaks were just like enormous swords that pierced into the clouds. If one was to raise one's head and took a look, one would find that it was difficult to see the peak within the lingering clouds and fog. There was a round, green rock located at the mountain peak where fog lingered. A figure was seated cross-legged on top of the rock. Both of the figure's hands formed a training seal. While the figure inhaled and exhaled, numerous substance like qi lingered over the tip of the figure's nose without scattering. The figure was wearing green clothes. It was not one filled with splendor, but emitted an elegance that caused one to be relaxed. The figure's delicate, small waist was being gently restrained by a pale purple cloth belt that outlined the moving curves of that already delicate waist. If one were to shift one's gaze upwards, one would find a pretty face with a quiet temperament that did not lose to Feng Qing. A pair of pretty eyes revealed a wisp of ethereal aura. At a glance, it appeared as though any great fury within one's heart would weaken when looking at this pair of quiet and indifferent eyes. Such a lady appeared just like a fairy or an uncontaminated clear lotus in the mundane world. Her entire body emitted a kind of misty, rare feeling that caused one to only be able to observe from a distance without being able to fondle. A lady like this, who seemed to be born from the spiritual aura of nature, would likely result in some men feeling ashamed when standing in front of her. The surrounding natural energy lingered beside this girl, appearing like the stars supporting the moon. The energy entered her body as she desired. This quiet training continued for nearly an hour or so before the lady's intelligent, beautiful eyes, that had been shut, were slowly opened. Following the opening of her eyes, a wisp of golden-colored flame immediately flashed through them. An unusual pressure also spread out along with the appearance of this golden-colored flame. Under such an unusual pressure, even the surrounding natural energy had become a little sluggish. It even wiggled slightly. The lady stood up in an elegant manner. Her tall figure appeared exceptionally enchanting. She turned her head slightly, glanced behind her, and slightly grinned. She said, "Old Ling, show yourself." That instantaneous smile possessed a kind of great beauty. Even the surrounding nature had become a little brighter because of it. A shadow behind the lady began to slowly wiggle after the lady's words sounded. Immediately, it transformed into an elderly figure. He respectfully bowed to her as he laughed. Young Miss's perception is really becoming increasingly frightening. I have only just arrived, yet I was already discovered. The lady was non-committal to this little boot-licking. Her hand randomly lifted some black hair that had landed on her forehead as she asked, "Is there a matter for old Ling to come here?" The old me would not dare to come and interrupt young Miss's training if there was nothing. The figure raised his head, revealing an old face. It was Ling Ying, who had once protected Xiao Yan back then. As for this ethereal lady in front, who else could it be other than Xuan whom Xiao Yan thought of every day? "I am not interested in whatever happens in the clan." Xuan randomly spoke. She raised her hand and the lingering fog gathered at her palm. Immediately, it transformed into the delicate and handsome face of a man. A rare, warm smile was revealed on her beautiful face when she looked at this face. Ling Ying also laughed when he heard this. He teasingly said, "I think that young miss will definitely be interested in what I have to say." Xuan'er's eyes paused on the man's face agglomerated from fog. Her pretty eyes glanced at Ling Ying when she heard his words. She then smiled and said, "Hopefully, speak." Ling Ying coughed softly and slowly said, "According to the latest news that I have obtained, a young man called Xiao Yan has appeared in the northern regions of the Central Plains." Puff. The fog, which had gathered into a person's face, scattered. The tall, curvy figure seemed to have gently trembled at this moment. A short while later, she inhaled a gentle breath of somewhat icy cold air and softly asked, "Are you certain?" "From what I think, there is a good chance that it is him." Ling Ying smiled as he replied. The lady suddenly turned around. Her elegant lovely appearance currently contained a rare joy. She descended from the mountain peak. Her footsteps were determined and were without the slightest hesitation. "Give the order that I am leaving the GU realm."